If you zoomed in really close on your face, you'd find tiny mites crawling in your pores. These microscopic bugs eat your skin's natural oils, but they have no way to poop it out, meaning the poop builds up inside their bodies throughout their lives.
Today we're looking at TikToks you won't believe are real.
Pictures you won't believe are real. This boat looks like it's floating in the air, but it's actually just its shadow. Believe it or not, this is a single photo. I can't believe that these lightning clouds are real. This is crazy. This road stopped the fire from spreading. Look at this cool ice effect that happened after this forest flooded. It looks like the snow is floating in the air. And in this picture, it looks like there's a floating ship in the sky, but it's actually a building and the cloud is just covering the rest.
Thank you to all the channel members for support. July has been pretty hectic, so I haven't really been as consistent as I want to be, but I'm gonna try to get back up there, you know what I'm saying? Maybe try to get more videos out this month, if possible. But remember to like, we're on the road to 100K, so remember to also smash that subscribe button. Let's go!
People You Won't Believe Exist, Part 2.
Ngok. This man has been awake for 50 years. Ty does labor every day for his family, and he says that he doesn't feel any tiredness at all. He tried hundreds of sleep medicines and many medication techniques to put himself sleep, but nothing has worked. It is said that you can only live for 11 days without sleeping, but this man managed to stay awake for 50 years. Prahlad Jani. Prahlad was an Indian breatharian monk who have lived without food and water for 70 years. This man lived in a cave and only came out once a year to visit his family. He spent his life by only consuming air. He said that the only nutrients he got yearly were nectar that he put in his hair. Scientists were very curious about that if he was saying truth. So they run some test, the result came out and it got confirmed that this man lived without water and food for 70 years.
Pictures you won't believe are real. This boat looks like it's floating in the air, but it's actually just its shadow. Believe it or not, this is a single photo. I can't believe that these lightning clouds are real. This is crazy. This road stopped the fire from spreading. Look at this cool ice effect that happened after this forest flooded. It looks like the snow is floating in the air. And in this picture, it looks like there's a floating ship in the sky, but it's actually a building and the cloud is just covering the rest.
Some people are actually T-Rexes, and we have a system to break in this universe. Now, if I keep going with this posting that everyone's privy to, it's gonna unlock certain systems in the universe that prove that dinosaurs are actually not extinct. That's what Cat knows. He knows the inner workings of how people turned into huge comedians. And I guess,
he says Kevin is an industry plant.
No, man, I mean, Kevin is a dinosaur, and I can't, I'm not gonna go back and forth with you, he's Frankie Lyman, and ooh ah.
He turned down $50 million 4 times.
No, he didn't.
To protect his integrity and his virgin hole.
No, he did. He did that. He did that to say that Kevin Hart took $50 million to unvirgin his hole. Now he's high. Now he's acting all hard. Every picture, he's just short. He wasn't ready. All that. It's the same thing, man.
A man superglued an iPhone to the sidewalk and accidentally built a business empire. At first glance, it looked like someone had dropped their phone mid-sprint. But when opportunistic New Yorkers spotted it, game on. They dove for it like it was free gold. People yanked, twisted, even tried sliding it loose with credit cards. One guy spent 5 minutes huffing and puffing, pulling like he was trying to free Excalibur. Another woman stomped on it for leverage, then left mumbling something about bad karma. Soon, a crowd formed, not to help, but to win. One guy even tried licking his fingers for better grip. Little did they know, the entire thing was staged. A hidden camera caught every confused expression, every dramatic fail. The iPhone was fake. It was actually a plastic shell superglued to the ground with $5 worth of superglue. And just like that, sponsors, merch, and interviews followed, and he got rich. All because people were desperate to steal a phone that wasn't even real.
This experiment is so messed up, it's hard to believe that it's real. Today we're talking about Project MK Ultra, which was ran by the Central Intelligence Agency back in 1953 through 1973. The experiment operated around a very simple goal, and that was to achieve mind control to get people to do things that they wouldn't otherwise do. I can't get into great detail about what happened on here, but I can tell you that a lot of these experiments involved a lot of heavy use of compounds, very messed up mental and physical tampering with the people that were involved in the study, sensory deprivation, i.e. sticking people in like white rooms with no sense of stimulation, extreme isolation with no contact with other people, and even hypnosis. Eventually, Project MKUltra was shut down, however, not before causing irreparable damage to a variety of different people that were involved in the study. And the fact that this was ran by a government agency is actually mind-boggling, but fortunately, it was shut down.
I wonder what the whole idea behind that was. Like, I get it was mind control, but like, was it mind control so they can control the world, or was it like some type of military, I guess you could say, like type of military use? Because like, why do they really need to control people? I mean, in my opinion, I feel they're already doing that through like video programming, if I'm being honest.
Many people believe these celebrities have been alive for hundreds of years. Up first is an unidentified photo of a man back in the 1800s that looks almost identical to Matthew McConaughey. Or this photo of another unidentified man in the 1800s that looks just like Eddie Murphy. This could literally be his twin brother. And that's not all. It just continues to get weirder and weirder. Next is a picture of an Egyptian actress whose name is Zubaydah Tharwal that looks exactly like Jennifer Lawrence. Also, look at David Schwimmer and Johnny Depp. I know you could have a doppelganger, but isn't it just weird that all of these famous Hollywood celebrities look exactly like these people? The theory is that they've been taking some kind of drug that keeps them alive for hundreds of years and also makes them look younger. I wouldn't be surprised if this theory actually came true, because these people look exactly alike.
It honestly blows my mind how nobody is talking about this. Watch this video of these celebrities exposing the whole entire industry and pay attention closely to what they have to say.
Ultimate goal is to be famous, then you're gonna do a lot to get there, like sign your name in blood in a contract with the devil.
Who could these people be?
I kind of sang about, what was going on in my life at 15, and that's how I got introduced to the music industry. I swear I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music, but it didn't work out, and so I sold my soul to the devil. Well, needless to say, sold my soul.
Who is that?
It's a dance
Ellen DeGeneres.
with the devil. I'm a cure, real wrestle. It's a dance with the devil.
I'm trapped. If I can go back, I never would have rapped. I sold my soul to the devil. I'll never get it back. I just want to leave.
Do you record while the bus is moving, or does it have to come to a stop?
Yeah, well, sometimes they don't want to, and they're, we can't get, the frequency's weird, and, it's sounding a little bit strange, and I'm like, if you don't get this right now, I swear to Lucifer, I'm gonna, I get a little bit mad.
I sold my soul to the devil. I know it's a crappy deal. Lisa came with a few toys like a Happy Meal.
Why is your hand over your eye?
Because I'm a devil worshiper. What are you talking about? Well, I had tickets to see the devil worshiper. Roman is a crazy boy.
Cardi B.
Who lives in me.
It's actually mind-blowing what these celebrities be doing for these crazy levels of fame. And I got way more to say about this, so make sure to like this video and follow me for part 2. Let's get it!
I feel like it's a persona thing. I mean, when they be saying like, oh yeah, I sold my soul to the devil, I mean, I don't necessarily think they literally sold their soul to the devil, but I think it's more the persona. Like, they like to give off that persona of mysteriousness and all that.
People you won't believe exist. Or shoot. The youngest looking woman, 63 years old. The Melvin. Living with naturally full white hair since birth.
If there wasn't a camera recording, you wouldn't believe it is true.
People you won't believe exist.
Isaiah Acosta. He was born without jaw and ability to speak, but become a rapper. Haley Thompson. He was born without a nose. Darina Spengler. She was born without chin and lips.
Videos you won't believe are real.
This is a rare hunting technique that killer whales have been seen to use to hunt down seals. Take a look. That is terrifying. This remarkable hunting technique is extremely rare and only used by an estimated 100 killer whales throughout the entire world. Let's just hope they don't start doing this to humans.
You might not believe it, but this is real.
Yes, it's actually true. Santa's correct. This right here is completely legitimate. At one point or another, you might have heard about something known as the dancing fern. I've actually seen this while hiking as well, and this video is a great example of it. It shows this one part of this fern specifically waving very rapidly, while everything else around it is just slightly waving. The guy recording this is pretty shocked because obviously, if you've never seen this before or heard about it, it's a pretty strange phenomenon. Now, a lot of people have different meanings for what these dancing ferns are. There are many superstitions surrounding it, and a lot of people that think that these plants actually have motor function, but this unfortunately is not true. When a fern, or any plant for that matter, waves like this, and only one specific part is doing this, this has to do with something known as its resonance frequency. When small and almost imperceivable gusts of wind end up making contact with certain plants, it might meet its resonance frequency. This makes the amplitude of its movements much larger, whereas before it might be just waving a little bit. When it meets the resonance frequency, it moves much more. This is something that is very hard to explain with such a short period of time, but if you want to look this study up, you can look up resonance frequency and wind in moving plants.
In this illustration, we're going to start at 3:30 a.m. At this time, everyone is asleep except for Xana. Looking inside the home, we can see where everybody was. Starting at the 3rd floor, we can see where Maddie and Kaylee were sleeping. Maddie was sleeping on the edge of the bed, while Kaylee was sleeping near the wall. As we go out and drop down to the 2nd floor, we can see Dylan's room directly under Maddie's room. Continuing across the living room onto the other side of the home, we see Xana's room. She's sitting in bed scrolling on her phone while Ethan sleeps next to her. Minutes ago, she had just finished ordering DoorDash and has all the lights on while she waits. The last roommate to mention is Beth, whose room is on the 1st floor, directly below the living room. As most of them all sleep, Kohberger pulls into the neighborhood for the first time this night at precisely 3:30 a.m. We know this due to a home security camera that captures the intersection and records the coming and going of anybody that enters that neighborhood. As we continue, Kohberger drives past the home and notices that all the lights on the 2nd floor are still on. He drives on and loops around the apartment complex building. Because of the home security timestamp, we're able to know how long it took to drive this path. On his first pass, it took him 2 minutes and 38 seconds, and this is him leaving on the first pass. Now let's look at his next 2 passes and record the times. This is pass 2 of him entering and leaving. And now this is pass 3 of him entering and leaving. When we do the math, we can see how long he took each pass. The last 2 passes were normal without any stopping, but on his first pass, he took an additional 42 seconds to creep by the house, or even stop for a time to stare into the windows with the lights on. All this information has been coming from camera A, but there is a second camera located behind the apartment complex building, and we're going to call that camera B, located here. This camera allows us to see how long it took to get from point A to point B, and between the 3 security cameras' data, it took between 35 and 37 seconds. What this means is you didn't stop or park somewhere or go into a different direction. He simply drove straight from point A to point B at regular speed. These times help us understand the DoorDash delivery window. According to court documents, 2 times are noted. One is 3:59 a.m. and the other is 4 a.m. Bringing back our passage chart, we can see that the DoorDash time of 3:59 happens after Kohberger has left the neighborhood and before he returns for his last pass at 4:04. It is possible that the DoorDash driver saw Kohberger as he was parking his car, because a timestamp of 3:59 could be reflected when he took the photo of the food at the front door instead of the time he arrived. So it is possible he witnessed Kohberger staring at the windows as he drove by. Continuing, as the driver leaves, Xana turns off all the lights, sits on her bed, and scrolls on her phone as she eats her food. A few minutes later, Kohberger enters the neighborhood for the last time. But this time, as he drives by the home, he sees all the lights are off. At the camera B location, he turns around to head back to the residence as shown in this video. When he returns to the front of the house, he does something unusual, so much so that it's noted in the arrest affidavit. On page 6, it states, "When the suspect vehicle 1 is in front of Kings Road residence, it appeared to unsuccessfully attempt to park or turn around in the road." It goes on to say that he continued onto the intersection where he did a 3-point turn. This 3-point turn was captured on camera A, which has a timestamp of 4:06. He appears to be calm and not overly anxious with his driving. As he heads back in the direction of the residence, he takes one last look at the windows to make sure all the lights are off. As he begins to drive around the end of the apartment complex, camera B records the time of 4:07. Fast forwarding a little bit, Kohberger drives to the back parking lot away from other residences. He takes a few minutes looking around and sees that nobody's out and that all is quiet. He eventually grabs his things, gets out of the vehicle, and begins walking to the back of the home. At approximately 4:13 a.m., he begins to make entry. As he steps in, he takes a minute to make sure everything is quiet and that nobody is truly up. He walks to the entrance of the living room and looks around. He continues to be cautious and stands there listening. Feeling confident, he continues upstairs. As he makes his way to Maddie's room, the time is about 4:14. Meanwhile, 2 minutes later, Xana takes a break from TikTok and walks into the kitchen. Evidence shows her activity on the app stopped at 4:16. As she enters the kitchen, she's a little shocked to see the sliding glass door wide open, and at the same time she hears a serious commotion going on upstairs. A source revealed that Xana's phone recorded steps and elevation change, which is how it's known she went to the kitchen and the 3rd floor. When she walked up to Maddie's doorway, she interrupted Kohberger, who had just finished an intense battle with Kaylee, who fought back violently. After a second or two, he notices her, and then she turns away. Being dark, Xana didn't realize what she was seeing other than a shadowy figure. Out of fear, she quickly leaves. A single source, unaffiliated with the media, claims Kohberger injured Xana on the 3rd floor hallway, leaving evidence of blood there. But this single source of information has not been validated by any more sources. Continuing, Kohberger, without thinking, pursues her all the way to her room, not realizing he had dropped the sheath of his knife. When he gets to the room, he attacks Xana, and the time is precisely 4:17:30. We know this because of camera A captured the sound of screaming and the thud. After attacking Xana, Kohberger focuses his attention on Ethan and attacks him while he slept. Afterwards, Kohberger must have sat down in a chair according to a report, which found blood smears on Xana's chair, perhaps from the exhaustion of what he had just done. This source also says that blood from the 2 roommates upstairs were found in Xana's room, showing that it was one person moving from one room to another. Kohberger sitting down was for less than 30 seconds. As he gets up to leave, Dylan, hearing the commotion from Xana's room, gets up out of bed and goes to her door to look out into the hallway. She freezes and sees Kohberger as he walks by and exits through the kitchen. She immediately closes and locks her door and retreats to her bed. Within 20 seconds of the encounter, she's calling and texting her roommates, but no one is responding. It takes Kohberger a minute and a half to get to his vehicle after the encounter with Dylan. But once in his car, he flees the scene at a high rate of speed and exits the neighborhood at 4:20. Dylan continues trying to reach someone in the house. And after 3 minutes of trying, Bethany wakes up and responds to the calls. They converse for 3 minutes, and then Beth convinces Dylan to come downstairs. The time is now 4:26 a.m. Cautiously, Dylan walks into the hallway and through the living room. As she approaches the staircase, she can see into Xana's room and sees her laying on the floor. She then runs quickly downstairs to Beth's room, where they lock the door and for several hours continuously try contacting the other roommates. Back to when Kohberger left the neighborhood, he drove a particular route that would exit onto a road that leads straight to Washington state line. And about that same time that Dylan runs to Beth's room, Kohberger is entering Washington state. This is all part of Kohberger's pre-planning, including finding a place to stop and get rid of any evidence. This place here fits that planning. This area here, pointed out by the arrow, is a little group of trees with a small area that you can park a car on. This is what it looks like from the road. At 4:30 in the morning, while changing clothes and getting cleaned up at this location, one could feel completely safe while being able to see the headlights of a car coming from miles away. As this pivots around, you can see how this is out in the middle of nowhere, and a pre-dug hole near some of these trees would hide forever any evidence that Kohberger was trying to get rid of. It's important to remember that Kohberger was studying criminal behavior and the legal system. This would have motivated him to plan things to the smallest of details, like plastic on the seats to conceal DNA, or crossing state lines because the jurisdiction of one area would take hours to get assistance from the other. He's also smart enough to know that this 10-minute stop would likely never be on the radar of the authorities, especially after he crosses back into Idaho and then turns his phone back on. Let's pick back up where we left off at his 10-minute stop. He continues on with his plan, knowing that he's completely cleaned up and that there's no evidence to tie him to any of the crime if he were pulled over at this point. After getting on Highway 95 and turning south, he turns his phone back on at 4:48 a.m. This section of Kohberger's travels comes from his cell phone data extraction. Let's orientate ourselves onto this map and get a better understanding of the timing. Kohberger leaves Kings Road residence at 4:21 a.m. Just 8 minutes later, he arrives at his stopping point where he gets rid of all the evidence. After the cleanup, he then drives back into Idaho and turns his phone back on, which occurs near a town named Blaine. This was referenced in the arrest affidavit along with the next town called Uniontown. The last place to reference is where he's seen on cameras near his apartment at 5:25 a.m. Using Google tools, we can get accurate timing information. This entire route took 54 minutes. If we add the 10 minutes stopping time to that, it would be an hour and 4 minutes. Now, if you add that hour and 4 minutes to the time he left King Road, it would equal 5:25 a.m., the same time the camera captures him on the cameras near Washington State University. The last thing to compare is this part of the route, which has a reported time of 38 minutes to drive without any stopping. Bringing back the time record and adding in the second leg information of 38 minutes, we can now add that time to when he turned his phone back on, which was at 4:48 a.m. After adding the 38 minutes to that time, it gives us 5:26 a.m., nearly the same time that was captured on the campus cameras.
Breaking news. Scientists just proved something wild. The photon exited before it entered. Time went backwards. And that means the future can influence the now. Scientists just confirmed what mystics always knew. Time isn't linear. The future can influence the now. What does it all mean? It means that your future self, the version of you that already has it, is sending you information, downloads, transmissions now. That intuitive hit you got, that download that made no sense in the moment, it wasn't random. They're transmissions from the version of you who's already done it, already scaled, already launched, already living from overflow. It was a message from your future self, the one who's already launched, already scaled, already done it. Your body, nervous system is the receiver, and you're tuning into a frequency that already exists. You're no longer creating your reality. You're remembering your reality that already exists in the now. It's a remembering. When your nervous system, your frequency match, that's when that information, downloads, transmission, come rushing into the now. Get ready for the synchronicities, the miracles, divine timing, spontaneous healings, magic. This isn't science fiction. It's quantum physics. Time at the quantum level is not linear. It can flow forward. It can appear to flow backwards. Just like when you get a divine hit, a knowing, an idea from a version of you that already lived it. You're tuning in to a frequency that already exists, and your nervous system is the receiver. Because when your nervous system is embodied and recalibrated to the version of you that already has it, she sends you the roadmap. And this is exactly why I don't teach strategy first. I teach recalibration. And your downloads? They're not random! DM me future to collapse the gap between someday and sold out now.
That resonated with me so much because I've been trying to tell people that. I'm like, dude, I feel like those intuitive thoughts you get or those intuitive situations, or is your future self in a higher dimension trying to tell you like, yo, don't go down that path, or yes, go down that path, or no, don't text back that person, or yes, text back that person. If you know what I'm trying to say. I've been saying that for the longest. And it's crazy that she says that because it's just like, it makes sense. It really does make sense. If you really sit down and think about it, it really does make sense. And I hope a lot of you guys can like have an open mind to that, because if you really do, you probably could change your life.
Are believing that this might be intelligent life. So the object is moving too fast to be caught up in the gravity of even the sun. So this object will be coming behind the orbit of Mars, and it'll be approximately 2.4 astronomical units from our planet, or about 225 million miles, give or take. Now the object is considered super dense and would be considered a, quote, planet killer if it hit us. But it's not considered a threat whatsoever. As a matter of fact, some scientists are saying that if this object is made by aliens of some kind, it could be heading this way to see if anything's alive here in this solar system, and what, if anything.
If you zoomed in really close on your face, you'd find tiny mites crawling in your pores. These microscopic bugs eat your skin's natural oils, but they have no way to poop it out, meaning the poop builds up inside their bodies throughout their lives. And when they finally die, all that stored up waste spills out onto your skin. Your immune system freaks out, causing red bumps and swelling. So if your face turns red and irritated, it's probably because of poop.
17 years as a butt doctor, yet no one believes me when I tell them this. Eating watermelon will clear out your pores and keep your skin clear because of all the minerals and antioxidants it contains. Rubbing potato peels on acne scars and dark spots will make them vanish in just days. You don't have to believe me, just try it yourself. Dipping your face in ice water daily will get rid of chubby cheeks and snatch your jawline. It's basically a cheat code for defining your cheekbones. Drinking chia water before bed will melt away that stubborn belly fat without doing any cardio. If you want a tutorial on how to make it, just comment chia water and I will send it your way. The bloat gummies will clear out all the poop stuck in your gut. This remedy creates a natural laxative, making you 10 pounds lighter overnight. The one I recommend is called Remedy Bloat Gummies from Amazon. But to make it easier for you, I linked it in my bio.
These are things that you won't believe are real, but guess what? They're real. Also, y'all, I got my second dose of the vaccine today, so I'm gonna go take a nap right after this. Let's do it. There's a mushroom with teeth that looks like it's bleeding. That is not cute. I'm sorry, mushroom. The wombat poop is square. I don't know how that's like, I really don't know how square poop is formed, but pop off, wombat. There was a chicken that lived 18 months with its head cut off. Yeah, I want to believe this is real, and according to them, it's real, but how is that possible? It would only take a 1-hour drive to go to space. Ma'am, I'm gonna need some explanation on this, because I'm not comprehending. Hippo's milk is pink. Y'all, what if all the strawberry milk we drank as kids was hippo milk? Ah! And lastly, crying makes you feel happy.
Unbelievable stories that sound fake but are 100% real. This is Henry Tandy, and he was the most decorated British soldier during World War I, meaning he had the most medals and honors, but that's not why he's remembered today. On a fall day in 1918, Henry was propped up on a war trench just like this when scanning the battlefield before the day came to an end. When he suddenly noticed a shadowy figure walking towards him through the mist, he immediately grabbed his rifle because he wasn't sure if this guy was on his side or the enemy's. But as the figure got closer, Henry realized that this guy was severely wounded and he had a German uniform on, meaning he was indeed the enemy. The wounded soldier had no weapon and just kept slowly walking towards Henry, not realizing the danger he had just gotten himself into. But as the German realized what was about to happen, he didn't try to run away, he just stood there and accepted his fate. Henry couldn't find the strength to shoot this guy, so he let him go. That soldier was Adolf Hitler.
Breaking processed meats like sausages, bacon, ham, salami, pepperoni, and beef jerky are now being called so dangerous by experts that there's no amount that you can safely consume without elevating your risk for cancer. Now, this is not the best message to be hearing towards the beginning of grill season, but it's an important one. Eating any kind of processed meat, just as little as a hot dog a day, can raise your risk of type 2 diabetes by the double digits, 11%. And processed meats make your risk of colorectal cancer 7% higher. The nitrates, chemical preservatives, and sodium found in processed meats can wreak havoc on your body. They are major carcinogens, meaning that they can cause cancer, and in addition to causing cancer, they can also harm your pancreatic cells, meaning, of course, that they elevate your risk for diabetes. So to the extent that you can, please be careful about your processed meat consumption. It could really damage your health.
I feel like that was something known though. I feel like everyone knows that eating hot dogs are not the best thing for you, you know what I'm saying? But it's crazy that it increases your risk that much. They're like, not even one is safe. I wonder if that makes processed foods more dangerous than alcohol.
Thank you all for watching this here.